Hi there, Megan of Megan's Creations with you today. I just have a quick little tutorial about photos. I don't know if you're like me, but I don't have a DSLR. I have serious envy for those that do. And I love the blurred background effect that you can get with some lens. And so I'm going to show you how you can do that with photos. It just adds a little more pop to have the background a little crisper than the foreground, a little crisper than the background, and blurring out that background we can do. So we're going to use a tool again. If you haven't noticed, I really love the select tool, and that's what we're going to be using. Not the magic select, just the regular select tool. Make sure it's on the plus sign. So it's adding to our selection. And I choose to select the foreground that we want that we're not going to blur. So I'm going to start with this goat head, and it kind of takes practice to know like common sense of what should be in the foreground. So I'm just going to take these goats. Those other goats over there, those aren't quite in the foreground, they're in the middle ground, and so we're going to leave them alone. And this isn't always perfect. If you want, you can zoom in at 100% and really get it fine-tuned with exactly meeting up the edges you want. Um, I'm just going to select his body here. You can see that I got parts of the ground that I don't want. So you can always go to the minus tool, minus select tool, and go back around the edges and get the areas you didn't want to be added. And just go back and forth between the plus and minus, because sometimes just like you think you're getting that area and then they select a wider area than you really meant. So you just take as much time with this as you want. And I'm going to just get a couple more areas here. We missed some of the neck right there. Okay, so once you have your foreground selected, or at least how much of it you want selected, then what I do is I copy and paste it. I'm just going to hit Control C and Control V. And again, I like copy. We need a duplicate. We need the foreground separate from the background. And then I'm going to also just so you can see the difference, I'm going to duplicate the original photo and have it down here just so you can see the difference. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave the foreground that we copy pasted alone. And we're going to go back to our original photo, and I'm going to go to Filter, and I'm going to go to Blur and Gaussian Blur. Gaussian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Gaussian Blur. And you can pull this so you can get to this is the background looking at, and this kind of shows you a preview of how blurry that's going to be, and you can just kind of play around with it of how blurry you want that background to be, and click OK. Again, if it's too much or too little, you can just do it again. That looks like that's a little blurry. I want more. I want it blurrier than that. So if you go back to the filter tool and you see this right here, that's the same filter you just used. So you can click on that and it quickly does the action again. And you just kind of play with it, see how blurry you want to go. And I think that looks pretty good. I just get this feeling like it's more in the foreground. And here's, I don't know how well you can tell with the video, but before, after, and you don't want to go too crazy with it. Um, but there's just a little trick to blur the background. Sometimes if you have a messy background, like your house or something, you can do the blur in the background to bring out the foreground there and just make it look a little more like a professional picture, like something that would, DSLR wannabe. So hope you find this tutorial fun and helpful with you in your photos and making them really shine in your layouts, and we'll see you next time.